Hello dear students, in the last class we had discussed physical properties of oxygen family, right? Now today our further topic is anomalous behavior of oxygen. Okay, anomalous behavior of oxygen. Why it is showing anomalous behavior or why it is having special, what are the special characteristics of oxygen? So first reason is the small size of oxygen. The small size of oxygen leads it to its special behavior or some special properties. Second point is because of its high electronegativity. Okay, En means high electronegativity value. What is the electronegativity of oxygen? It is 3.5. Third point is because it shows strong hydrogen bonding in water which is not formed in hydrogen sulfide. Okay, strong hydrogen bonding is there in between hydrogen and oxygen which is not formed in H2S. Again the same reason, because of the high electronegativity of oxygen. Oxygen is having high electronegativity value and so it shows strong hydrogen bonding with oxygen. Third point is because of absence of d orbitals in oxygen, hence covalency limits to 4. It does not have d orbital in its subshell because oxygen is having atomic number 8 and so its configuration will be only 1s2, 2s2 and 2p4. No extra electron and also 2 subshell does not contain d orbital. So therefore because of absence of d orbital in oxygen, hence its covalency limits to 4. Okay, means up to maximum of 4 bonds it can form. It can be it can show its oxidation state by gaining or losing electron, and various oxidation state we had seen earlier which were -2, -1, -half, +2 and +4. Okay, so maximum value is +4 for oxygen. So it is special. Now this property that oxygen is paramagnetic according to MOT, molecular orbital theory. Now if you had studied this topic of molecular orbital theory, you might be more clear why oxygen is showing paramagnetic property. First of all, what is paramagnetism? Paramagnetism means it will contain unpaired electron in its valence shell. Okay, so according to MOT, molecular orbital theory, it is paramagnetic. How? We will be seeing it in our later part. Okay, when we will discuss oxygen, about oxygen, its preparation, properties and all, there we will in detail we will discuss this part of paramagnetism. Now for time being, you remember that oxygen is paramagnetic in nature and other members of its family are diamagnetic. Okay, so again this is a special characteristic of oxygen that it is paramagnetic. Don't worry, this concept of MOT I will be explaining in the later part of this chapter. Now, next property, it can show oxidation state of -2, +2, +4, +6 dominantly. Okay, dominantly it can show oxidation state of -2, +2, +4, +6. Few examples we had seen where it can also show -1, -half. Okay. Now last point about its property is H2O is liquid and other hydrides, how are they? They are gases. Okay, water is liquid and other hydrides are gases in nature. So these are all the 7 points about the anomalous behavior of oxygen. Any one of the question can be asked, or in theory also any one of the question can be asked for 2 marks. Write about the anomalous behavior of oxygen. Write about the anomalous behavior of next family, halogen family we are going to study. So any question can be asked, but this is important. You need to remember the points. First point, because of its small size, because of its high electronegativity, because it can show strong hydrogen bonding, because it shows absence of d orbital. Also it is paramagnetic, and it can show various oxidation state of -2, +2, +4, +6, etc. Also it is liquid in state compared to other hydrides, right? So this was about the anomalous behavior of oxygen. So now we are going to study the chemical properties of this family. So first is reactivity with hydrogen. Okay, first one is reactivity with hydrogen. What will happen when the member of this oxygen family will react with hydrogen? They will form corresponding hydrides. Hydrogen, when reacted with oxygen, it will form H2O. Hydrogen, when reacted with sulfur, it will form H2S. Hydrogen, when reacted with tellurium, will form hydrogen telluride. Okay, like this, they will form corresponding hydrides. Now, various properties on which this trends changes or depends, we will see. What means hydrogen. When we speak about hydrogen, we will speak about its which nature? Acidic character, right? So, what happens? As we move down the group, acidic nature of hydride increases. As we move down the group, acidic nature of hydride increases. Why? The reason is in the next page. See, what are the reasons? First reason is, as we move down the group, size goes on increasing, right? From oxygen to sulfur to tellurium to selenium to oxygen, sulfur, tellurium and polonium. This all the size goes on increasing, right, down the group. That's why acidity also increases. Second point is bond breaks easily, right? The bond between H2 and whichever bond, oxygen or as we go down the group, size goes on increasing, right? So when we take an example of H2Te, size is more of Te, so therefore this bond will break easily, right? And hydrogen will get released easily in the form of H plus ion, which is responsible for acidity, hydrogen. So next point is hydrogen can be given easily. Okay, everybody clear? Why acidity increases down the group? Because size goes on increasing. As the size becomes larger, bond breaks easily, okay, and then hydrogen can be given easily. Therefore, acidity increases. Again, which property will change is about the thermal stability. As we move down the group, thermal stability goes on decreasing. Again, more or less same reason will be there, because thermal stability means bond breaking. We are speaking about the bond breakage. So as the size will go on increasing down the group, right? Size goes on increases down the group. Bond dissociation energy will also decrease. Why? Because size will be larger. Less energy will be required to break the bond. So therefore thermal stability will also goes on decreasing, right? Thermal stability will go on decreasing. Why? Because size goes on increasing down the group, and secondly, less energy will be required to break this bond, that is decrease in the bond dissociation enthalpy or energy of He bond down the group, right? Both these factors are responsible for the decreased thermal stability decrease, right? Next character is reducing behavior. Reducing behavior increases down the group. Reducing behavior means hydrogen donating nature. Hydrogen donating nature increases down the group. Correct? From first, second and third point you might be known or cleared about this point, that why reducing behavior increases? Because it can give hydrogen easily. Why? Because size goes on increasing, the hydrogen bond can break easily. Okay. Now about the boiling point of these hydrides, boiling point also goes on decreasing down the group. Again same reasons, because size goes on increasing, bond will break easily, boiling point will also decrease. Again one more point, bond angle also decreases down the group. What happens? Bond angle also decreases down the group. So here are the some values of boiling point and bond angle. HOH with water, with oxygen, hydrogen, boiling point everybody know 373 Kelvin. Okay, in terms of Kelvin I had written. Hydrogen sulfide 213, selenium hydride 232 and tellurium hydride 269. Right. So and the bond angle is, see, there is a decrease in boiling point also and decrease in bond angle also. 104.5 degree for water, everybody know bond angle. 91.1 degree for sulfur, 91 degree for selenium hydride and 90 degree for tellurium hydride. All these bond angle corresponds to which type of hybridization? sp3, right? Water everybody know that it shows sp3 hybridization. Same type of angular structure all the hydrides form and all the hydrides undergo sp3 hybridization. Okay, so these were the points. Which point we had discussed that acidity goes on increasing. Why? Because of the increase in size, bond breaks easily, hydrogen can be donated easily, and because of all these reasons, thermal stability decreases, reducing behavior increases, boiling point decreases, and bond angle also decreases. Now there are few exceptions. Water in the form of hydride. Okay, oxygen in the form of hydride is water which is colorless. Everybody know that water is colorless, odorless and volatile. On heating it forms vapors, so therefore volatile. Right, when we heat water it forms vapors. That property is called as volatility. Evaporating property is called as volatility. Now next, H2S means hydride of sulfur, selenium and tellurium. These are poisonous gases. How are they? These are poisonous gases. These are all colorless and they show unpleasant odor. Right? Poisonous as well as unpleasant odor. Now what is the volatility trend? Volatility trend is showing some type of exception. H2S having greater volatility as compared to water, and then comes hydrogen, selenium and selenium hydride and tellurium hydride. Okay, this is the volatility trend. There is an exception. What is the reason behind this? Because of the boiling point octane. Right, boiling point octane. Hydrogen is having strong water shows strong hydrogen bonding. Water shows strong hydrogen bonding and other shows weak van der Waals forces of attraction. Right, and other shows weak van der Waals forces of attraction. Also, one of the factor contributing is due to less electronegativity of the central atom. Oxygen is the most electronegative atom. Then comes sulfur, then comes selenium and then comes tellurium. Now the question comes, these both are important questions. H2S, hydrogen sulfide, has less boiling point than compared to water, or H2S is liquid and H2O is a liquid and H2S is a gas. The above reason whatever we had discussed is the answer for this both the questions. Okay. So I hope this both the questions answer you might be getting why H2S has less boiling point than compared to H2O, because of its volatility factor and from the values of boiling point, and also second factor is that it is having a strong hydrogen bonding and others hydrides are having a weak van der Waals forces of attraction, and thirdly that electronegativity difference. Central atom's electronegativity should be higher. Oxygen is having 3.5 and then sulfur and other members are having less electronegativity comparatively. Also for the second question, H2O is liquid and H2S is a gas. Same are the points you need to write. Okay, all the above three reasons will give you the answers and full marks for it. Okay, so our next topic is, that was reactivity with hydrogen. Now we will see reactivity towards oxygen. Reactivity towards oxygen. So for this it is divided into two, as dioxides and trioxides. Right? When one molecule of oxygen reacts with oxygen atom, it forms O3. This is nothing but your ozone. What is it? Ozone. Now SO2, right? M is any of the element of this family, sulfur, selenium or tellurium. So if M is S and oxygen O2, means when sulfur reacts with oxygen, it forms SO2, sulfur dioxide, selenium dioxide, tellurium dioxide, right? Here itself ozone O3 is formed. So here trioxide is not formed in case of oxygen. Further it cannot form. Sulfur trioxide, selenium trioxide and tellurium trioxide. Here ozone and sulfur dioxide, these exist in gaseous state, that is they are gases, and selenium dioxide is a solid, right? This is solid. Now what are the nature? Both MO2 means dioxides and trioxides are acidic in nature, right? Both are acidic in nature. Why? Because oxides of non-metals are acidic in nature. This point when we will discuss about the chemical properties and reactions, there also we will be discussing, but you should know that non-metals forms oxides, acidic oxide, right? Non-metals form acidic oxides. Oxygen, this all complete elements, all the elements of P block are non-metals, and all the oxides of non-metal form acidic. They are acidic in nature, right? Non-metals are acidic in nature. Oxides of non-metal form acidic. Now both dioxide and trioxide dissolve in water to form acids. How? Through reaction we will come to know this point, that with water dioxides and trioxides form acid. Sulfur dioxide when reacting with water form sulfurous acid, H2SO3, right? Sulfurous acid. SO3 is there, therefore sulfurous. Selenium dioxide reacting with water, it forms H2SeO3, selenious acid, right? What is the name? Selenious acid. Now selenium trioxide with water, it forms H2SeO4, that is selenic acid. What is it? Selenic acid. Now tellurium trioxide with water, it forms telluric acid, H6TeO6. This is telluric acid. Okay, nothing to more to explain in this. You just need to practice these reactions, that on reaction of dioxides and trioxides they form corresponding acids. Okay, dioxides forms of sulfur and selenium oxide forms sulfurous and selenious acid, and trioxides when reacting with water forms of selenium selenic acid, and tellurium telluric acid. Okay, now from this a simple note comes here. Down the group, what happens? Down the group, reducing property decreases from SO2 to TeO2, means sulfur dioxide to tellurium dioxide. Reducing property, what happens? It decreases. From sulfur dioxide to tellurium oxide, reducing property goes on decreasing. So hence we can conclude that sulfur dioxide is a good reducing agent and tellurium oxide is a good oxidizing agent, right? Because reducing property goes on decreasing. This is in case of oxides, right? Previously we had discussed reducing property goes on increasing in case of hydrides. So comparative study you need to do about the oxides and hydrides. What is the trend? Any of the question can be asked from this also, because this is a bit confusing, but there is nothing to get confused. We are talking about the oxides, and there we are talking about the hydrides, right? So reducing property of oxides goes on decreasing and oxidizing property goes on increasing. So this was about oxides. Now next topic is reactivity with towards halogens. So here is a small chart I had made for you, that it forms when the members of this family reacts with halogen, they form hexahalides, tetrahalides and dihalides, where E is OSACETE, oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, and X what it is? Halogens. X is halogens. So hexahalides, tetrahalides or dihalides. Okay. First we will see what happens for hexahalides. Hexahalides example is SF6, sulfur hexafluoride, selenium hexafluoride, tellurium hexafluoride, formed by direct combination. Right? Means sulfur directly reacts with halogen to form corresponding hexahalides. They are colorless gases. What? They are colorless gases. And they show sp3d2 hybridization. Which type of hybridization? sp3d2. And when this type of hybridization occurs, or coordination number is 6, means 6 halogen atoms or any of the atom are attached, they form octahedral structure. Right? In coordination chemistry, you will be studying completely about what is the geometry, what will be the hybridization, and how we can write the structures also. From once you complete that chapter, you will get these things very easily. Okay, but now for time being, you remember SF6 means hexahalides. They show which type of hybridization? sp3d2. See, 6 subshells are participating. 1s, 3p and d2, total 6. Right? So here coordination number is 6, and when coordination number is 6, which type of geometry is there? Octahedral. Okay. One of the hint you can take it, that for coordination number 6, Cn is coordination number 6, which type of geometry is there? Octahedral. One exception is there. Exceptionally, SF6 is an exceptionally stable halide. Okay. Why? Because of the steric reasons. Steric reasons means in space they are very highly stable, means they form separate, they are very away from each other, they do not hinder their movement. ओके मीन्स वो एक दूसरे से टकराते नहीं है. यहाँ पर SF6 जो है वो फ्लोरीन मॉलिक्यूल्स जो है वो सब दूर दूर रहते, एक दूसरे को टच नहीं करते या टकराते नहीं है. देयरफॉर नो रिपल्शन एंड देयरफॉर दे आर हाईली स्टेबल. सो स्टेबिलिटी ट्रेंड ऑफ हैलाइड्स इज, सी, फ्लोराइड इज मोर स्टेबल, देन क्लोराइड्स, देन ब्रोमाइड्स एंड देन कम्स आयोडाइड्स. दिस ऑल ट्रेंड इज अकॉर्डिंग टू इट्स साइज. ओके, SF6, fluoride, chloride, bromide, iodide, halogen family. When we will study, there also we'll discuss this type of trend, but here also it is important because SF6, when we are dealing with fluorine, fluorides, okay, this is more stable. So in case of tetrahalides, okay, in case of tetrahalides, what happens? Which type of molecules are formed? SF4 means sulfur tetrahalide, tetrafluoride, selenium tetrafluoride, tellurium tetrafluoride, tellurium tetrachloride, any of the halogen can be there. And in this case, when this form tetrahalides, they show sp3 hybridization. Okay, sp3 hybridization. See, tetrahalides, total 4 orbitals are participating in hybridization. Okay, tetrahalides. It shows trigonal bipyramidal geometry. Okay, TBP is the short form, trigonal bipyramidal geometry. Okay, tetrahalides is there, tetrahedral structure should be there when we speak about sp3 hybridization, but the hybridization is sp3, but geometry has been changed. Why this geometry has been changed? Because of the presence of this lone pair of electron, right? This lone pair of electron is responsible for the change in geometry. Because we were knowing that if sp3 hybridization is there, molecule will form tetrahedral structure. Okay, but all because of presence of this lone pair of electron, geometry has been changed and it has become TBP, trigonal bipyramidal. See, triangle type and bipyramidal, 2 pyramids is there. And here, whenever this type of geometry is there, trigonal, bipyramidal, a triangle type structure is formed here. Okay. With what will happen, means important point to note is that with one equatorial position occupied by lone pair. Lone pair will occupy equatorial position. See, this is equatorial position and this is horizontal position, right, or vertical. So this is equatorial position, and at this position lone pair will be there. So this point is to be noted in here. When we draw the geometry, we will always point at equatorial position the lone pair of electron, and then on the other positions bond angle will change. See, at equatorial position 120 degree, and at vertical and this equatorial position bond angle is greater, 173 degree. Okay, so this type of geometry tetrahedral halides form or tetrahalides forms. Okay, this is common for all the elements. Okay, yeah, all the halides, tetrahalides, right? Which type of hybridization? sp3, and due to presence of lone pair of electron, trigonal bipyramidal geometry it shows. Okay, next is dihalides. What happens in case of dihalides? For dihalides, it will form, see, sulfur dichloride, selenium dichloride, tellurium dichloride. Okay, dihalides will be there. Again, it shows which type of hybridization? sp3 hybridization, and hence it will show tetrahedral structure. When we write, we will write that it shows tetrahedral structure, but is it possible to draw a tetrahedral structure by using this two dihalide or two halogen atom? No. So we will point, we will draw, while writing we will write that it shows tetrahedral structure because it is having sp3 hybridization, but here it is a special case that two lone pair of electron are occupied at the two equatorial position. See, first lone pair of electron and second lone pair of electron is at equatorial position. Okay, and two chlorides are at axial positions. Okay, vertical or axial positions, and this is an equatorial position. At equatorial position, you need to remember for these structures, for these halides, they always occupy equatorial positions. In case of tetrahalides also we had seen this, and in case of dihalides we are also seeing this. One more classification is there, monohalides. Monohalides, they are, how are they? They are dimeric in nature. Okay, monohalides are dimeric in nature. For example, S2F2, right? Dimer is there. Monomer will be SF, right? Se2Cl2, monomer will be SCl. Okay, Se2Br2, monomer will be SeBr. This undergo disproportionation reaction. Okay, disproportionation reaction means after forming the product, the proportional products will not be there. How? See, Se2Cl2, when it will react or it will decompose, it form SeCl4 and 3 Se molecules are released. Disproportion is there, means 1:3 proportion products are formed. So therefore this type of reactions are called as disproportionation reaction. Okay, disproportionation reaction. So this was about reactivity towards halogen. First we had seen about the hexahalides. Okay, hexahalides, their hybridization and geometry. Then we had seen about tetrahalides. Then we had seen about dihalides, and then we had seen about monohalides. Okay, important is its hybridization and the examples and its geometry. Okay, now last one is the topic to discuss here is reactivity with metals. Okay, it is also simple. Reactivity with metals, many of you might be knowing the names. Reactivity with metals, example is, through example also you can get it. When metal reacts with oxygen, which metal? Aluminium, magnesium, any of the metal, sodium, any of the metal can react with oxygen. So when aluminium react with oxygen, it forms aluminium oxide, Al2O3. Very simple. When copper react with sulfur, it forms copper sulfide, Okay. When magnesium react with selenium, it form magnesium selenide, right? When tellurium react with gold, it forms gold telluride, Au2Te3. So this type of reactivity reactions we had learned today with metals. Any of the metal you can write. अगर टाइम पे नहीं आ रहा है इसमें से कोई भी याद तो अपने मन से भी लिख सकते हो, बिकॉज रिएक्शंस विथ मेटल्स आर वेरी सिंपल और आप लोगों को आता है, आएगा एट द डे एंड विथ प्रैक्टिस एंड प्रैक्टिस यू विल कम टू नो. ओके, इन द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक, इन द नेक्स्ट video lecture we will see about the properties of polymorphism and allotropy. Okay, difference between allotropy and polymorphism. Thank you. So we will continue this topic, difference between allotropy and polymorphism. Okay, for this first you need to know what is allotropy. Allotropy is the property of any element to exist in two or more different forms. Okay, so see here what I have highlighted, it is element. It is the property of any element to exist in two or more different forms. That is we called it as allotropy. Okay, now what is the definition of polymorphism? From these definitions only you will easily know what is the difference. Polymorphism, see, okay, polymorphism means ability of a solid material to exist in more than one form or crystal structure. Okay, ability of a solid material. So here also I had highlighted the word solid material. So what is the difference between element and any solid material? Element is the basic unit. From this many molecules or compounds are formed by combination. Okay, but for a solid material it is the combination, right? It is the combination of one or more than one, right? One or more than one element. When this solid material exists in more than one form or a crystal structure, that is what we are saying is polymorphism. Okay, so now you are clear what is allotropy and what is polymorphism. Okay, so by example we will get it more clear. See here, in case of diamond, diamond is formed by carbon, which is an element. Okay, is bonded to a 4 carbon atoms forming a rigid 3D structure, right? 3-dimensional structure is formed, but it is formed by only and only carbon. Okay, and another example for polymorphism we are taking, see, one more definition type here or one more description, that it may be a molecule or a compound or even a mixture existing in different crystalline structures due to the conditions the material is placed in the temperature and pressure. Okay, so by example you will be more clear. Silica, it exists in alpha quartz form, beta quartz form, tridamite, cristobalite. See, I had given you the names of these minerals of silica, right? SiO2. It exists in all these different polymorphic form. Okay, so see here, silica, it is having a formula SiO2, right? In the carbon family we had discussed this about the silica, silicon compounds, silicon dioxide, and its minerals are alpha quartz, beta quartz, tridamite, cristobalite. We had taken these names. Okay, we had heard previous this name. But about its polymorphism, what is about the polymorphism means they are having different crystal structure. So alpha quartz is having trigonal structure, beta quartz is having hexagonal structure or crystal system we will say, cristobalite is having tetragonal structure, tridamite is having platy-sheet structure. Okay, so different type of polymorphism or geometry or crystal system they are showing. Okay, and this is made up of silicon and oxygen. So what is the main difference between allotrope? It can be a molecule, compound, or even a mixture, but it will be a mixture or a compound, means formed by one or two elements and will exist in different crystalline forms. And in case of allotropy, see, once again I will take that. In case of allotropy, we had said that it is only about one element, like carbon. Carbon, it is showing diamond shape, or graphite or fullerene. Okay, it is only about one of the elements. So this is the basic difference between allotropy and polymorphism. So first of all, it is an element. It is about the solid material. It can form one or more crystal structures. Okay, I hope you had understand this about the polymorphism and allotropic difference. Now our next topic is allotropes of sulfur. Okay, which are the allotropes of sulfur? Rhombic sulfur and monoclinic sulfur. These are the two main common allotropes of sulfur. More we had seen in our introduction part. 3 to 5 there are allotropes of sulfur, but these two are more important. So a detailed study is given about these allotropes of sulfur. First one is rhombic sulfur, or another name is alpha sulfur. Second one is monoclinic sulfur, or another name is beta sulfur. Okay. So what are the properties? According to the property, there is a difference. So in the chart form I am showing you. So first difference between both are color. Color of rhombic sulfur is pale yellow and monoclinic sulfur is bright yellow solid. Okay, bright yellow solid. What is the shape? Shape of rhombic sulfur is orthorhombic crystal and monoclinic sulfur is needle shape. Okay, needle like shape, monoclinic crystals. Okay, this is the geometry or crystalline systems. When you will study solid state topic, there you will come to know about these crystal structures. Okay, what is monoclinic vagare and all, orthorhombic, rhombic. Okay, not so much detail, but rhombic you will come to know. According to the position of sulfur, it is orthorhombic crystals. Next is solubility. Solubility is in rhombic sulfur is insoluble in water and soluble in carbon disulfide, whereas monoclinic sulfur is soluble in carbon disulfide. So solubility difference is that rhombic sulfur is soluble in carbon disulfide and monoclinic sulfur is soluble in carbon disulfide, right? But it is insoluble in water. Now about the stability. This is rhombic sulfur is stable at 369 Kelvin. Okay, below 369 Kelvin is important here. And monoclinic sulfur is stable at above 369 Kelvin. So we can conclude that both these are interconvertible. Means if temperature rises more than 369, it will get converted to monoclinic sulfur. And if temperature decreases to below 369, it will get converted to rhombic sulfur. Okay. So for these four properties, have you understood? About the color, pale yellow color, bright yellow solid, orthorhombic crystal, needle shaped monoclinic crystals. These are insoluble in water and soluble in carbon disulfide. This is also soluble in carbon disulfide. This is not much of difference. And stability, below 369 it is stable and it is stable above 369. So we conclude that they are both interconvertible. Okay. Now next point is about the structure. What is the structure? Structure of this rhombic sulfur is, it forms acid molecules and puckered ring structure. These also form acid molecules and puckered ring structure. Okay, both of them form same type of structure. Now how they are prepared? This is prepared, rhombic sulfur is prepared by evaporation of rolls of sulfur in carbon disulfide. Okay, sulfur in the form of roll. Evaporation of roll sulfur in carbon disulfide, it forms rhombic sulfur. And how monoclinic sulfur is formed? So when rhombic sulfur is melted in a dish and cooled to form a crust, and through the holes liquid comes out and forms a needle shape crystals of beta form, that is monoclinic form. क्या होता है, एक डिश लेंगे, डिश में हम क्या करेंगे, रोम्बिक सल्फर को मेल्ट करेंगे, और जब वो मेल्ट होगा तो क्या रहेगा, वो सॉलिड रहेगा, तो इट विल गेट मेल्ट, और जब मेल्ट होगा तो एक क्रस्ट जैसा फॉर्म होगा, मतलब एक पहाड़ जैसा बोल सकते हैं, ऐसा फॉर्म होगा, और उसमें कुछ होल्स रहेंगे. वो होल्स में से जो लिक्विड जब बाहर आएगा तो इट विल फॉर्म नीडल शेप. ओके, एंड दैट नीडल शेप क्रिस्टल्स इज कॉल्ड एज मोनोक्लिनिक सल्फर. ओके, सिंपल है, नॉट सो हार्ड. एक दो बार पढ़ेंगे समझ में आ जाएगा. डिफरेंस पूछते हैं, व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन रोम्बिक सल्फर एंड मोनोक्लिनिक सल्फर, स्पेशली इन थियरी पेपर. सो रिमेंबर द पॉइंट्स. फर्स्ट पॉइंट ऑफ कलर, देन शेप, then solubility, then stability, then structure, and then preparation. Okay, 5 to 6 points are of differences sufficient for getting 3 to 4 marks. Okay, now our next topic is oxides of sulfur. Okay, this is also easy. See, oxo acids of sulfur. Oxo acids of sulfur, first example we will take of sulfurous acid. Sulfurous acid, H2SO3, in preparation part we had seen this example, H2SO3. So how we will draw its structure? Sulfur with, first we will see how many oxygen are there, 3 oxygen. Sulfur valency, in valence shell it will have 6 electrons, so 1, 2, 3, 4, but only 3 oxygen are there. So, and only 2 hydrogen are there. So first OH we will get. Okay. Now remaining oxygen will form double bond. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 2 electrons are left. So it will form a lone pair of electron. Okay. This is how we will draw the structure of sulfurous acid. Okay. Sulfurous acid, H2SO3. Now it is dibasic because it consists of 2 OH group, dibasic or diprotic also we can say. It is dibasic or diprotic also we can say. Now about sulfuric acid, all of you know the formula of sulfuric acid, H2SO4. Central atom sulfur bonded with 6 electron in its valence shell. So 2 hydrogen are there, so we will, and 4 oxygen. So how we will place? We will take 2 OH group. Okay, 2 OH group, and remaining 2 oxygen will get bonded with double bond. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6. Okay, all the bonds are completed. Simple. It is also diprotic or dibasic in nature. Sulfuric acid and sulfurous acid. Formula you should know or learn. Now third one is di or pyrosulfuric acid. Di or pyrosulfuric acid. So pyrosulfuric acid is formed by when 2 molecules of sulfuric acid is taken and 1 molecule of water is subtracted. 2 molecules of H2SO4 is taken and 1 molecule of water is subtracted. It will give H2S2O7. See, अगर इसका डबल करेंगे तो क्या हो जाएगा, H4 S2 and O8. वाटर माइनस करना है, मतलब वाटर में क्या है, 2 हाइड्रोजन, तो 2 हाइड्रोजन लेस करेंगे तो H4 का क्या हो जाएगा, H2. सल्फर तो माइनस करना ही नहीं है, तो इट विल बी S2. ऑक्सीजन में से एक ऑक्सीजन माइनस करेंगे तो O7, तो रिमेनिंग व्हाट it forms H2S2O7, which is called as di or pyrosulfuric acid. Again one more name is there, oleum. It is also called as oleum.